Alright, so in this video I'm going to talk about living a child-free lifestyle, right? Now, before I get onto this video, I would just like to say that antinatalism and child-free, child-free lifestyle, right? These are two completely different things, okay? You can be child-free without being an antinatalist and vice versa, although being an antinatalist without being child-free is less common. Um, but yeah, I'm going to get onto that right now. So, first and foremost, right? Um, Basically, what does it mean to be child free? All it means is that you don't have any kind of children, right? Whether it be biological, adopted, or anything, right? And the reason is number one, maybe you can't raise children. Number two, maybe it conflicts completely with your lifestyle and values. Um, maybe you don't have enough money to raise children. Now I think that that is a separate issue, um, and I might get onto that later if I remember. But basically, when it comes to living the child-free lifestyle, um, I think the main benefit of it is just the amount of time and money that you have for yourself. Okay, because I mean, I just talked about this like right now, the money thing, right? Um, so yeah, I have touched on it now. But anyway, basically, raising children, right? Even if it's adopted children, right, costs a lot of money. I read some statistic that it costs like maybe a couple of hundred, like I think a couple of, I think like 30. Honestly, I don't even remember, but like it costs a ton of money to raise a child until the age of 18, and in this economy, right, that child is not going to, well, that dependent is not going to move out, right, because of this terrible housing market that we've got right now in this terrible economy, right. Now, um, first and foremost, right, it costs so much money to take care of children, as I said, right, the cost for food, the costs for education, the costs for other basic essentials, things like entertainment, games, obviously internet bill, all this kind of stuff, right? Now, first and foremost, that's a lot of money, and I don't think, I mean, a lot of people just can't handle that. A lot of people don't have the money for that, um, myself included, right? And also, like, especially when the child is still like an infant, right? You have to sacrifice your sleep, your health, and even like your relationship, for people that choose to get into relationships. I mean, obviously, as you guys know, I'm single, and that's just the way I want to live my life. And in a way, it's the way I kind of have to live my life. But I really I want to live a single life, right? As I've already said, I've got no interest in relationships for obvious reasons, as I've said before. And essentially, basically, when it comes to this, right, raising children is a liability. The cost benefits ratio is immense. And to me, I've just got way better things to be doing with my time. Um, as you guys know, I've got a lot of things that I need to get done, and I want to get done in my spare time. And raising children is just not a part of that. Even adopted children. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on adoption quite soon. Um, but yeah, anyway, so basically, the amount of money that you save and that you can spend on yourself or for something that you truly enjoy, or for even for people around you, right? Or to plan things out in the future is a lot of money, right? You are saving a lot of money, and especially in this economy, in this cost of living crisis, you're going to need that money, right? Um, and you can basically use that to enhance every aspect of your life, right? Whether it comes to just securing your base needs, whether it comes to or whether it comes to just doing things that you enjoy, like maybe you can buy something like some more games, or maybe if you do drawing or art, you can buy some more supplies, or maybe you can buy some more books if you're into reading, or basically any example. Just think of that, right? Or maybe you'll have more money for internet, or whatever it is, right? Or maybe you can go on a new holiday, maybe you can, I don't know, just do anything, right? um, Things even like buying a new car or something, um, if you drive, right? Now, the thing is, right, um, basically, how am I going to say this, right? as I said, taking care of children is just a chore, right? And not everybody can raise children. I'm one of these people. I cannot raise children, right? Even if I wanted to, which I don't. Um, Even if I wanted to adopt a child as an antinatalist, then I just can't do that because I don't have the right mindset to take care of children. I can't handle children and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean that's just what it's like for me, right? And yeah, I've just got no interest in that kind of stuff. Now another thing is that I need to like I thoroughly enjoy being alone. I enjoy my own company, and I don't really want to have to deal with all this like irrelevant, like kind of petty stuff that happens when you have to take care of children. For instance, they get in trouble at school, then you get in trouble, right? Because you're seen as being the bad influence. You have to deal with the parents' meetings, have to keep up with their homework and stuff. Like for instance, right? Let's look at work, right? Um, Basically, look. Um, uh, when it comes to that, right? I'm entering into a couple of years where I'm going to have to start working a lot, right? And basically, especially in in most jobs, actually, taking care of children and working just completely conflicts. And especially in the job field that I'm doing, I'm not going to mention it for obvious reasons. Then it's basically it's very very hard to juggle taking care of children, especially like younger children, and working, because for instance when you come home, right, first of all the hours conflict, and second of all when you come home you're so like if you guys work, you know what I'm trying to say. You're so shattered that you can barely stand. um, and what you want to do is you just want to go home and sleep, right? You don't want to deal with any of this. You don't want to deal with a bunch of screaming kids having to do the homework. Having to deal with them. Like, I mean, who can deal with that, right? I mean, it's like a second job. It's like 40. It's like 80 hours a week, 40 hours a week for a normal job, and then plus another 40 hours. Okay, think of it like that, right? Why would you want to put that burden on yourself, right? Um, so yeah, so basically, when it comes to this kind of issue, let's look at what happens if you have children. So, for instance, imagine you're working a 9 to 5, right? Or maybe in some jobs it's longer, like 8 to 6, right? Um, which is more so the case with me when I have work. Um, so it's working 8 to 6, right? Which is quite long. Um, some days it's shorter, some days it's longer, right? But that's a long shift, right? And if, for instance, if I had kids, what would I have to do? I'd have to get up at like 5 a.m. anyway. I'll probably have to get up an hour earlier, so I'd sacrifice a valuable hour of sleep, which can, really decrease your lifespan over the next couple of decades. Don't underestimate the quality of the. Don't underestimate losing out on sleep. Okay, it's very very important. So you have to wake up an hour earlier, right? You also can't go to sleep earlier because you've got to deal with kids. So you've got to wake up at like 4 a.m., right? And that's not a time you want to be waking up at. You've got to get the food ready, and then you've got to wake them up, and that takes a long time. And then you've got to drive them to school or take them to some kind of I don't know, after school club or something like that. And then what happens, right? Then you've got to rush to work, and then you've got to deal with all that BS, and then you have to leave a little earlier, or you have to leave at that time, and then they'll usually be in some kind of after school club. Then you pick them up and you're so exhausted you can't think, you can't talk, you're dealing with a bunch of kids that are super energetic after school. They've just been released from that prison, and so they're just constantly like full of energy, full of energy, full of energy, right? And you're stuck there dealing with this stuff, right? And why would you want to put that burden on yourself, right? When I come home from work, right, sometimes I just want to sleep. I've got other things to do. Maybe I've got to do exercises. Maybe I've got other things to do, or reading, or just some other tasks, right? But one thing that I cannot have in that kind of routine is to take care of children. That right there will just ruin my life completely, right? Because they're so energetic after school, right? And then you have literally no energy, so that's going to be a clash. And then they're always going to be, they're always going to be asking you for things. They're going to be like, oh, can I watch TV, or can I play games or something? And then you've got to deal with that, and then you've got to lay them to sleep. And then this continues again and again and again, and this will drive you crazy, right? And simply by just not having to deal with kids, you make your day 50% easier. I'm dead serious, right? So yeah, when it comes to this issue, I think that's a massive benefit, right? Because you can focus on yourself, which is the main goal in this life. You need to focus on yourself because, quite frankly, no one else cares about you, and that's just the unfortunate truth. You are, in my opinion, you as an individual, myself included, we are irrelevant to the society. We are just cogs in the machine, right? I mean, I think that's pretty obvious, right? But yeah, I mean, that should tell you something, right? So when you take that responsibility onto yourself, you are completely responsible for that decision, right? And now you've got like twice as heavy burden to carry, right? In an already very, very, very tough and difficult life, okay? And I mean, I can't really do that, right? And I don't want to do that, and I'm not going to do that, right? But yeah, I mean, the main thing is time, the money, the peace, and the aloneness, right? And the ability to, you have a much greater ability to direct your own time, to direct your own activities, and to live a happier, more content life, right? And the thing is, right, basically that's really what you want, right? That's really what you want, right? But yeah, when it comes to adopting children, I think that's a different matter. I'm going to make a video on that. But yeah, that's the main point, right? Because for instance, when I was telling guys about that woman who's asking me, "Hey, when are you going to have children?" And when she was saying things like, "Oh, people today are refusing to get married, refusing to have children, is going to cause a crisis." First of all, that's not true. Everywhere I go, I see children. The norm is to get married and have like a ton of kids, right? I mean, I see it quite common, right? Whether it be in ethnic minorities or not, right? Even the Brits have a lot of kids, right? Whether it be, but basically, what I'm trying to say is that having kids is normal, right? And I've already talked about this, right? So, in my opinion, those whose creative instinct is mental, right, create things like art, philosophy, just various systems and other things like this, right? Or just enjoy nature, very, very basic things, right? But those whose creative instinct is physical, like the vast majority of people, do things like procreate, right? They just follow the natural instinct because they've got nothing better to do, and that's really why people have so many children. But yeah, I mean, like here's the thing: society, like the UK is very overpopulated, especially in the major cities. I talked about this before. There's a kind of a misconception that the birth rate is going down. It really isn't. It's going up and up, especially in the major cities. Because it's not just about immigration. The birth rate's very high, right? Immigration's very high. The birth rate's very high, and society, infrastructure, all this, it's kind of crumbling. NHS, school places, they're full, right? And that's another thing. Having to find school places for these kids, having to deal with just all the fights that they're going to get into, as I said, because remember, you're putting them into like a school environment, right? So that's a very toxic environment, yes. Another thing as well is, what was I going to say? Yeah, so, obviously you've got to deal with them eventually kind of becoming rebellious against you and all that kind of stuff. You're going to have to deal with them maybe, because here's something that I find interesting, right? A lot of kids end up actually, how am I going to say this without YouTube maybe censoring this vid, but like a lot of kids end up like harming their parents, right? I mean, I find it crazy how common it is, right? And another thing, I guess this is kind of touching on antinatalism, but obviously the imposition of harm, of death, of suffering, of the mortal coil, all that kind of stuff. That's more of an antinatalist kind of perspective. But when it comes to the child-free stuff, I mean, you know, you're completely living your life for you, and you're kind of releasing the burdens, right? Because having children is such a burden and a liability. The amount of money you have to pay. I think I read somewhere that, I mean, you know, you're gonna, especially in this economy, you're gonna pay like maybe at the very least like 50K for one of these kids. I mean, I don't remember, but that's just for one, right? Imagine multiple. I don't even know how people can do it. Um, but yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm interested in hearing them. Leave a like and a subscribe, of course. And yeah, thanks for watching.